Welcome to today's episode of True Crime, where we delve into one of the most shocking and disturbing cases in recent Croatian history. This is the story of Smiljana Srnec, a woman who brutally murdered her sister, Jasmina Dominic, and kept her body hidden in a freezer for nearly 2 decades. Jasmina Dominic was a vibrant young woman with a promising future. Born in 1977, she was known for her intelligence and ambition, having enrolled at the University of Zagreb to study maritime studies. However, in the summer of 2000, Jasmina suddenly disappeared. She was 23 years old at the time. Although her family initially reported her missing, the search for Jasmina was riddled with inconsistencies. Some family members, including her sister Smiljana, claimed that Jasmina had moved abroad for work. Over the years, the case grew cold, with no significant leads or progress in the investigation. Despite the family's claims, friends and acquaintances grew suspicious, as Jasmina had cut off all contact without any explanation. Fast forward to February 2019. Nearly 19 years had passed since Jasmina's disappearance. The Dominic family lived in the small village of Palovec in the Međimurje county of Croatia. On a fateful day, Smiljana's daughter and her boyfriend were cleaning the family home when they discovered an old chest freezer in the hallway. Curious about its contents, they opened the freezer and were met with a horrific sight: a human body, frozen solid. The body was soon identified as that of Jasmina Dominic, Smiljana's long-lost sister. The discovery of the body sent shockwaves through the village and the entire country. How could a body remain hidden in a family home for nearly 2 decades without anyone noticing? The investigation quickly zeroed in on Smiljana Srnec, who had been living in the house with the freezer for all these years. Forensic analysis revealed that Jasmina had died from blunt force trauma to the head, likely inflicted by a heavy object. The estimated time of death was consistent with the time she had gone missing in 2000. Investigators concluded that Smiljana had killed her sister during a domestic dispute, and in a desperate attempt to conceal the crime, she had hidden Jasmina's body in the freezer. Smiljana Srnec was arrested shortly after the discovery of her sister's body. During the trial, the prosecution presented a case built on circumstantial evidence and the shocking details of how Smiljana had managed to keep the body hidden for so long. Smiljana's defense argued that there was no direct evidence linking her to the murder, and she maintained her innocence throughout the trial. However, the court was not convinced. The evidence, including the timeline of Jasmina's disappearance, the cause of death, and the fact that Smiljana had been living with the freezer in her home, was overwhelming. In June 2020, Smiljana was found guilty of the murder of Jasmina Dominic and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. The case of Smiljana Srnec remains a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk within a family. The fact that Jasmina's body was hidden in plain sight for nearly 2 decades, with family members living their daily lives around the freezer, is both terrifying and heartbreaking. The case also raises questions about the effectiveness of missing person investigations and the psychological toll such a secret can take on a family. How did Smiljana manage to live with this dark secret for so long? And why did no one suspect her earlier? Conclusion: as we reflect on this tragic case, we are reminded of the fragility of human life and the depths of human deceit. Jasmina Dominic's life was cut short in a brutal and senseless act of violence, and her story will continue to haunt those who hear it. Thank you for joining us on this episode of True Crime. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more cases that reveal the darkest corners of the human psyche.